Hey, good morning, everyone again. So, a test plan will, let's say this is a sample test plan, okay? This is a sample test plan was prepared for another project, and it will have a home page like this. It will have a page like this, title page about where you will be mentioning what is the project name, uh, test plan, and who has prepared it, and sometimes it will have version, sometimes it will not have version. Okay, and then some other information will be here, and then this version history. All of this information are not important for you. Okay, all of this information are not important for you. But what is that? So let's say that when you work in an organization, you will not prepare many of the documents from scratch. There will always be a template. Okay, there will always be a template. You will be filling up only in that template. You will be filling up only the project related information. There will be many common information. Those will be already there. Okay, when you work in an organization, there will always be a template for you to fill up the gaps in terms of planning. You got it? How you prepare an organization? So this document is the test plan. Yeah, is a test plan. Yeah. And as I am explaining that there will always be a template which you will be filling up. There will be many information in the document. You will be filling up the project related specific information. Okay, now this version history, normally what it does is, um, let's say that your colleague has prepared this document or has worked on it, so he has version 1, and then when you are editing it, it is version 2, something like this you mention in the version history. Do you get it? Okay, then you say that okay, this document will have to be approved by a certain people. You mention not all the case. In some cases you will have, okay, who will have to approve this document. Let's say when you prepare a test plan, right? um, from the testing group you prepare the test plan, but this test plan will have to be approved by your manager, by the development group, by the project manager, right? So those are the people, key people you list here. Not all of the organization will have a approval list, but in some cases there could be some organizational people who will have to approve this test plan. Does it make sense? Okay, very good. And then you put a table of contents here, like as usual, and then introduction, it will describe what is this document about, and then scope, right? Can you see now, after all of this common information, now we are in the scope that we said, okay, this it will test plan will be describing the scope, approach, resource allocation, right? So here in the scope phase, right, you mention, okay, what are your testing scope? Testing scope means a project might have 1000 requirements, and in a particular testing phase, not 1000 requirements are in the scope for testing, probably 200 requirements are in the scope for testing. So that is what is going to, you are going to tell about the scope here, and then what is the objective of the testing. Again, this is common information. Okay, what are the objective of the testing? Verify software requirements are complete and accurate, right? Perform detailed test planning, identify testing standards, procedures that will be used on the project. These are common information. Testing goals, these are common information. What is the testing goal? When we do testing, what is our goal to achieve, right? And then these are the actual scope. Can you see what to be tested, what we are going to test, what product features, right, that we are going to test? That is what you are going to mention here. What are the product features that we are going to test? Then you come here, and if there is a specific thing that you are not going to test, you are going to mention it here. Then we are defining what is quality, what is reliability, and who is the audience of this document. Quality, reliability, these are simple definition. What is quality, what is reliability, right? And then audience of the document is like who will be getting the copy of this document. Okay, and then what is the role of testing team? Your testing team in your, if you work in an organization, uh, you have a testing team in the organization. What is the role in this particular project from the testing team? You describe this, and then you come here. That is where is the uh, testing plan. Okay, that is where is that can you see, let's say the development will be happening from this time to this time, 7:1 to 7:25, right? And on the similar time, test planning will be happening, right? Test planning, test case writing, okay, all of these things will be happening while the development team will be preparing their analysis, technical analysis, and while they will be writing their code, QA people will be writing their test plan, they will be writing test cases, right? So everything we plan, okay? And then once the development is done, in the meantime, your test case writing will be done, and then you will be executing these test cases in the QA environment. Uh, you can say that QA test execution. So the QA execution normally happens in the QA environment, right? QA environment. Basically, once your testing will be done, this 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 phase here, right? Here we once testing is done, a meeting happens, and then a formal sign off happens about the project. When testing is done, bug fixes are done, and then a formal sign off happens, and after the sign off, the software goes to the production. Does it make sense how this planning works? Okay, so during the development of the software, who does the development? The software developers does the development. Yeah. While the development, I mean, before the development, they do technical analysis, right? So they do technical analysis, and while this technical analysis and development is ongoing, QA people, what QA people does? QA people prepare their. So what I will say that if you, here's very simple. You mention in this time the development people will be preparing the technical design document. They will be developing the code of the software, and you mention here in this second time schedule, can you see QA people, right? They analyze the requirement, they prepare their test plan, they write their test cases, they provide walkthrough to the test cases to different people, and then here QA people executes the test cases, report defects, right? If there is any defect, the development people fix the defect, and QA people retest. And in this phase, very simple, the software goes for deployment. And no go meeting happens between all the people involved in the project, QA people, development people, project team, everyone set up, everyone jump into a call. Normally we call it go no go call, and the software goes for the production. Okay, so here after QA testing, there are other type of testing happens. We didn't put it here. There are UAT testing happens, performance testing happens, right? You can mention this one as well. QA testing UAT testing happens, performance testing happens, and then the software goes for production. Okay, so basically it is a schedule. The way you prepare it, you have to have the key functionality here: development, software, QA people, QA planning, writing test cases, and then software QA execution, right? And then UAT, user acceptance testing, and performance testing execution, and then a go no go meeting, and then software goes for production. So this is the schedule. So one of the key thing that we describe in the test plan is the scope, what we are going to test, okay, what we are not going to test. We mention those features, and then we have our schedule of the testing, and then you know then we have resource allocation. You will see that. So fast tracking project requirement documents, QA plan, all of the activities regarding the project is here. Fast tracking project requirement documents. So in the requirement document, test planning checklist, uh, project proposal in EPM, initial phase checklist, project W work breakdown structure, project charter, right? Business requirement document. All of the things, whatever you need for this project is, we have a list here. And then you come here, entrance criteria, exit criteria, right? We have discussed previously entrance criteria. So you cannot test the application if the application is developed. The application will have to be developed, the application will have to be deployed in the QA environment for you to test, right? And this application will have to be stable for you to test it. Stable means, the application, the 6 hours of the day, the application will remain down, 2 hours will be up. This is not stability. The application will have to be stable in a consistent way. They will have to give you all of the test data. If you need any login credential, right, they will have to give it to you. So these are the entrance criteria. Exit criteria, right? All test cases have been executed successfully, and then all of the defects are fixed. So these are few of the exit criteria, that like at what situation we exit out from the testing. So when you start testing, if your execution is done, the application is completely tested, then you have a go no go meeting and exit out from the testing phase. Okay, so there are few things here regarding a different type of testing. These definitions are important for you. In the interview, they might ask you about this definition. Okay, so as you can see, few of the definition, and I'll will have to bring more definition about different type of testing. So one of the testing type is unit testing. So what happened in the unit testing, before the software comes to the QA people, okay, before we test the application, the software is tested by the developers. Before we QA people, we test the application, the software, we first the software is tested by the developers, and that is what we are calling unit testing, a special type of testing, right? A special type of testing where the developers test their code, unit of the code, to find out that individual unit of the code is working. That is what we are calling unit testing. So if I ask you to explain what is unit testing, how will you explain it?
It's the testing that's done by the software developers themselves,
Mm-hmm.
just to you know, just to and it's just essentially it's the testing that they do to what they're seeing their code in action.
Code in action. Basically, they test the unit of the code, to make sure that the functionalities are working. Okay, you will see what is unit of the code when we will learn Java. You will see that what we meant by unit of the code. Basically, unit testing is a special type of testing done by the developers to make sure that individual unit of the code is functioning properly. That is what we are calling unit testing. Okay, any question? All right, let's come to the functional testing.
I'm sorry. Yes. Would you say that the test plan itself is written by, say, like a project manager or head of QA, or is this something that's pulled from like all the QA people?
So test plan, mostly test plan is written by a testing lead. Okay, a testing lead will be writing the test plan, but a testing lead might ask you, hey, can you complete this portion of the test case, or what is your thoughts about it? So like something like this, he might ask you, can you complete certain portion of the test plan? But mostly, even if you write it, it will be compiled by your testing lead before it is going out of the team, before it is going to any other people.
Okay, gotcha.
And to write the test plan, do you write everything from scratch?
No, that would be crazy.
How do you write it?
You use a template.
Template, yeah. There will be template out there, you will be writing. Okay. Then you come to the functional testing. Okay. Functional testing, functional testing are focusing the functional requirements of the software and is performed to confirm that the application operates accurately according to the documented specification and requirements to ensure that interfaces to external systems are properly working. So functional testing is to verify that all of the functions those we have in the requirement document are functioning properly. We physically test those functions. That is what we are calling functional testing. Does it make sense? What is functional testing? So we have a certain functionalities those the website will have to do, right, or the software will have to do. So to make sure that these functionalities are working, that is where we verify in functional testing. Okay, functional testing, is it clear? Very simple. What is functional testing? We verify the functionality of the application according to the requirement document. Sounds good? Functional testing, guys, can you talk?
That sounds good. That sounds good. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Okay. Regression testing. Okay, regression testing. Now you have seen how the development works, right? So let's say that if I go back to my previous classes, let me bring this software development. Okay, let me bring this document here to explain that regression testing. Okay, so you have 25 requirements in agile development methodology, right? In agile methodology, we divide this requirement in sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4. So we have a timeline for sprint 1, and the developers are going to develop these 5 requirements, right? There will be design, there will be analyzing requirements, there will be design, there will be development, there will be testing, right? So after the testing, they will be starting another 5 requirements, and again development will be happening, testing will be happening. So in this particular phase here, when you do the testing, will you be testing the functionality of these 5 requirements only, or you will be testing functionality of this 5 requirement and this 5 requirement, all of these 10 requirements? What will you do?
All the 10
All the 10.
performance.
All the 10. When you in software development, when you add new code or when you modify existing code, let's say you have 10 module of the application, you have changed the code for one module, still you have to test all of the 10 modules. So when we have this new 5 requirements developed, and then we are testing. We have to test the functionality for this 5 requirement and also the functionality of the previous 5 requirement. Okay, during the last phase of can you see sprint 4? Now we are working on the last 5 requirements, right? Analyzing requirements happens, and the developers do the design, and then they develop the code, and then they put it for the testing by the testing people, right? So here, when you do testing, do we only test this 5 requirement or we test something else?
You guys test the requirement, right?
Hmm? What is the question, Iqbal, please? So my question
No,
was,
it wasn't a question. It was a question. It was So do we test the developers test that part?
no, like developers develop the functionality, and then in the verification phase, QA people they test this functionality. Now, while they do their testing in the sprint 4, will they be testing only these 5 requirements or they will be testing something else? QA people.
They'll be testing all of the requirements from the previous sprints.
So sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, we have 15 requirements. We will be testing those as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So let's say in sprint 3, when sprint 3 happens, we have 5 requirements, another 5 requirements. So we analyze the requirements, the developer prepared the design, and the development happens, and testing happens. Testing is being done by the QA people. Okay. So here, when they do the testing, what will they be in this particular phase?
You said from sprint 3?
Mm-hmm.
From sprint 3, when they do the testing, they will be testing the 5 requirements on sprint 3, as well as the 5 requirements on sprint 2, and the 5 requirements on sprint 1. They'll also be making sure that each of the defects that were reported not only in sprint 3 but in sprint 2, that those were fixed.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So Iqbal, let me ask you this. So in sprint 3, there will be testing. What Jaman is saying is that in sprint 3, let me move this one a little bit. In sprint 3, they will be testing the functionalities for sprint 3, these 5 requirements, and also these 5 requirements from sprint 2, and these 5 requirements from sprint 1. So will they be also testing the 5 requirements from sprint 4?
Yes, they will. They will be required to test the sprint four.
What is that?
They will be required to test for sprint four.
They will be testing the 5 requirements from sprint 4 as well in sprint 3?
Yes, sir. Well, does it matter because of the defect or no?
So,
How many defects?
are you driving, Iqbal?
Yes, right now, yes. I'm about to make one real quick, but I'm hearing the screen and everything.
Okay, okay. Just then you listen because I do not drive safe. So I want you to interact a lot. Just listen to the class. Okay. So let me ask this question to Amit. Amit, when they will be testing in sprint 3, will they be testing the 5 requirements in sprint 4 as well? Why?
Because they are testing on sprint 3, and when you're doing sprint 3, you're also doing the previous sprints of sprint 2 and sprint 1. You're not doing sprint 4.
You are not doing sprint 4 because sprint 4 is not done yet, right? Do you agree with me? When we are in sprint 3, basically, sprint 4, we haven't reached sprint 4 yet. So let's say we are in September, or let's say we are in August at the moment. Have we reached November? No. So sprint 4 is coming and we are on sprint 3. So sprint 4, we have 5 requirements. These are not in picture. We are in sprint 3, right? So that is what in sprint 3, when we are going to test, sprint 4 is not in picture. Our concern here is all the 5 requirements in sprint 3 and 5 requirements in sprint 2 and 5 requirements in sprint 1. Now, in sprint 3, why do I need to test 5 requirements from sprint 2 and 5 requirements from sprint 1?
Because the new code on sprint 3, it could possibly have a effect on the previous codes.
Although the previous code we have tested, they are good, but still after sprint 3, when we do the testing, we have to test sprint 1 and sprint 2 because the new code might be impacting the code that we have from sprint 2 and sprint 1, right? That is why we have to test all of this requirement from sprint 1 and sprint 2. That is what you agree with me? So, and that is what we are calling regression testing. So when we are adding new code to the existing code, then we have to test the new code plus the existing code. When we are adding new functionalities to the application, then we have to test this new functionalities plus all of the existing functionalities to make sure that the new code that have been added is not impacting to the previous code. That is what we are calling regression testing. Does that make sense? What is regression testing? It is a good interview question, so that's why I brought this, project flow for you. Then you come to the next thing here. We have regression testing, right? Okay. Now we have integration testing. Can anyone read what is integration testing? Jaman or Omid, if you can read the definition of integration testing.
Integration testing is the phase of software testing in which individual software modules are combined and tested as a group. In its simplest form, two units that have already been tested are combined into a component, and the interface between them is tested. In a realistic scenario, many units are combined into components, which are in turn aggregated into even larger parts of the program. The idea is to test combinations of pieces and eventually expand the process to test your modules with those of other groups. Eventually, all the modules making up a process are tested together.
Yep. So let's say you are working on sprint 3. In sprint 3, there are multiple modules of the application. Let's say there are 4 developers, right? One developer is working on one module of the application, another developer is working on another module. Developer, like 4 of the developers are working on each of the module, and altogether there are 4 module of the application in sprint 3. So before the software goes for okay, good review, okay, the software is good, they will have to combine these 4 module together and then it will be a complete code. Does it make sense? So module, when I'm saying module, it means like there are 4 component of the software that they are working in sprint 4 or sprint 3. So they are working individually, each of the developer is working on each of the component. So when they are done, they will have to merge this 4 module together to make sure they will have to merge this 4 module together to make sure that the software is good. So that is where, like, after they merge this module, they have to test. So that is what we are calling, when you integrate multiple module of the application together, we have to test that all of the module are working properly. So that is what we are calling integration testing. Okay, is it clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay, then you come to the interface testing. So this testing follows a transaction through all of the product process that interact with it and test product in entirety. So here, when I'm saying interface testing, what is interface? Interface in terms of, let's say that when you have a um, when you have a software, let's say some of the video game, right? Video game uses video card. Every computer has a video memory. Okay, I'm giving a specific as example. The video game interacts with, you know, some what is called VGA memory. Sometimes some video games will have a special device that you have to control by hand, right? So when we are saying interface testing, basically, like, let's say when you go to CBS, right? How they scan product, they have a scanner, right? So when you go to Kroger, you might see they have a portable scanner that you can take and shop, right? You can scan and pay. So, like, different softwares might have different interfaces. The scanner is the interface, right? The video game that the handheld device that you use to control is the interface. When you go to Kroger, right, you take that self scanner and you do your shopping. That is interface. So that when you go to Kroger, when you take that self scanner, that scanner is connected to the computer, right? Connected to a software. So if you want to test that software, you will have to test it with that scanner, right? So that is what we are calling interface testing. When a software has different interfaces, we have to make sure that the software is working when in conjunction with the interfaces. Does it make sense what is interface testing? Okay, then you come to the destructive testing. Okay, can anyone read the definition of destructive testing for me? Jaman, you can read it.
1 second. I had it on my screen. Oh, never mind. I'll just share it. Destructive testing focuses on the error detection and error prevention areas of the product. This testing is exercise in an attempt to anticipate conditions where a user may encounter errors. Destructive testing is less structured than other testing phases and is determined by individual testers.
Okay, destructive testing focuses on the error detection, error prevention areas of the product. This testing is exercised in an attempt to anticipate conditions where a user may encounter errors. Destructive testing is less structured and other testing phases and is determined by individual testers. So destructive testing is, we do destructive testing to break the application. You got it? So at what situation the software might give error? So the purpose of destructive testing is to produce error. Okay, just to find at what situation a software might give error. Okay, so simple thing. What is destructive testing? We do destructive testing to by focusing on error detection and error prevention areas of the product. This testing is exercised in an attempt to anticipate conditions where a user may encounter error. At what situation a user might get. That is what destructive testing is. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay. Now the next thing that we are going to discuss, user acceptance testing. Can anyone read? Amit, can you read what is the definition of user acceptance testing?
Acceptance testing activities will be performed by the business users. The purpose of this testing will be to ensure the application meets the user's expectations. This also includes focuses on usability and will include appearance, consistency of controls, consistency of field naming, accuracy of drop-down field information lists, spelling of all field name data values, accuracy of default field values, tab sequence, and error help messaging.
Okay, so as you can see, user acceptance testing is done by actual user of the application or their representative. So let's say that the developers the developers see the software from their perspective. Okay, the testers see the software from their perspective. And when you bring the actual users, they see the software from their perspective. They are less technical and they have their own opinion about the software. Does it make sense? The developers are expert. They see things in their in their side. The testers also knows the functionality. They see it from their way. But when you bring actual user, they will be using the application, so they will be able to give you the more accurate feedback about the software, how easy it is, how comfortable, how intuitive the use of this software, right? So those kind of thing, to get that kind of, we bring actual users to do the testing for us, and that is what we are calling user acceptance testing. Does it make sense what is UAT? Do you understand what is UAT, guys?
Yes, yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay. We have many other different type of testing that we are going to discuss, but what is your understanding so far? Whatever we have discussed about different type of testing, what is your opinion about it?
So far, it makes perfect sense, and the reason why these testings exist is completely logical.
Yeah.
There's really nothing
Yep.
confusing about it whatsoever.
Yeah. And let me tell you this. Let's say that when they make a software in Bangladesh, right? They might not be that much okay how user will feel about this software, how user will feel about my activities. They might not be that much like when the government of Bangladesh will be making a software, right? Will they be caring about what people will be thinking about this software? No.
Of course, no.
All right.
Not
So
whatsoever.
but here in this first world, right, Europe, America, everything, when you make a software, you do not know how much scrutiny we do on every functionality. Whoever is going to use the software, from the development team, they do every effort. From the testing team, from the project management team, they do every effort to make sure that the software is good, software is okay, the software is you know, uh, the user will be comfortably will be able to use that software, right? So they do every effort. So here the expression of the users are very important, and that's why all of this testing happens. And so many stages we do the testing. We do unit testing. From the developers, they do unit testing, and then it comes to the QA people. They do all of the testing. QA people are less technical, right? That the developers, you will see 99% of the developers are from computer science background. Okay, QA people, you might see 60% people, 50% people in the QA are from computer science background. Most of the QA people you will see in some group are not that, even if they are from computer science background, probably they were not that good in terms of computer engineering or computer science, right? QA people. So It is an advantage in QA people not that much technical. What is the advantage? QA people, they have to learn the functionality of the application, and when they learn, they read the document and try to use the software, and while they do, they bring all of the bugs. They find out all of the bugs while they are learning the software. They go each and every functionality of the software and make sure that it is as according to the requirement, and that's how all of the defects, all of the bugs come out from the software. Does it make sense, guys? Are you with
Yes, it
me?
does.
Okay. Now so we will have to learn few other of testing besides functional testing, regression testing, integration testing, interface testing, destructive testing, user acceptance testing. There are 10-15 other testing type, those we will learn. But from you, my expectation next week will be you will be reading all of these different phases of this test plan, and you will have to write a sample test plan for you as well.
Question for you.
Mhm.
Are there certain projects where, say, like, you know how, like, a certain project where you're essentially on the project for a long, long time, like years, because there are certain softwares like our the property management software in our hotel.
Mhm.
There's constantly being updates and bugs that are fixed.
Mhm.
Does QA stay in certain projects for for a long period of time,
Yep.
or one certain project? Okay, all right, gotcha.
Some of the project, let me tell you from my experience. So I was working in Regions Bank, okay? So they have started upgrading their online banking software. You understand what is online banking software? Online banking software is like where you log in. If you have a bank account, you log in and then you view, manage all of your information. Okay, that is what online banking software. So they have a older version of the online banking software, but they were trying to make it updated. Okay, so they have started upgrading their software from 2011, and I started working in Regions Bank from 2014. When I was leaving Regions Bank in 2016, they were still not able to deliver that project. So from 2011 to 2016, 5 years.
At that point, do you sue them or something, or ask for your money back?
No, Regions Bank, their internal software team, they were developing the software. It is not like nobody is from outside. Their internal software team, they were trying to improve that system. For some reason, it was taking that long. From 2011 to 2016, they were still, the software was tested for performance, but it was still not in production. You got it? So it takes time. It takes time. In software development, it takes a lot of time. Remember that civil engineer, you know what civil engineer does?
Yeah, roads,
Mhm.
bridges, etc.
Bridges, tower, buildings, right?
Pretty much.
Buildings. So buildings, they make buildings by brick or stucco or hardy plank, right? All of this thing you can see. The roofing structure you can see is a big thing. The computer thing, right? When you make a computer software, it is much complicated than this engineer work, the mechanical engineers work. Computer engineer, when they make it, it is like microscopic. You have to you have to analyze memory, how memory works, and this is like, it is totally mathematical, and many things are not visible like civil engineering thing. So it is like people who work on it, they have patience and they love it because it is so much creative out there, and it takes time. And you probably know that all of the big developers in this, all of the all of the creative people in this current world, right? All of them, all of them are creative, all of them are billionaire because they are working with computer software. I mean, not all of them, most of them, right?
Yeah.
Right. So because why? Because it is a so much complicated stuff in software development and stuff, and these things are so much creative. These things are so much rewarding. So that's why those people are making so much. They are so much, famous. Okay. So here, what I will expect from you, that document that I send you, you will be reviewing each and every part of this document. You will be starting writing your plan. Remember, I have sent you a requirement document. So the requirement document that I sent you, based on that requirement document, you will be writing your test plan. Can you see this Mercury Tours use case? Not this. Let me go back. I sent you this document. This one, requirement Mercury Tours. So if you open this document, okay, this is the requirement. This is a requirement document for Mercury Tours application. Your focus will be to understand the requirement, right? Can you see 2.2? These are the product features. Those were listed for development. Okay, 2.2. And you will be writing your test plan to test these product features, 2.2. And good thing about that, this software is already developed. And if you go here, new tools, I'm recording this session, everything is being recorded. So if you go to new tools demo, can you see Guru 99 website? If you go there, this is the software basically. This is the software that the requirement is there that I'm displaying now. And according to the requirement, you will be writing your test plan. First, you will be studying the existing test plan, and then you will be writing your own test plan for to test this particular software. Okay. Now, so if we come back here, we have different type of testing that we have discussed, and then browser testing, right? So when you test an application, your application might be used from Internet Explorer browser, might be from a Edge browser, might be from a Chrome browser, right? Might be from a Safari browser, could be from a mobile device, could be from a tablet, right? We have to make sure that application is working from all of these platforms. The application might be used from an Android phone, from a Windows phone, from a LG phone, from a from different platforms, right? You have to make sure that the application is working from all of these platforms. That is what we are telling. We are defining as compatibility testing. Compatibility testing is to make sure that the application is working fine from IE, from Chrome, from Firefox, right? From Android device, from iOS device, right? So that is what we are calling. What kind of testing? Compatibility testing. Okay. So that is another type of testing that you have learned. Now test artifacts. So what we are going to test in details, test script development. When you write test script, I mean test case, right? What you put? You test script ID, right? And then um, all of this field you put in a test case. We will be learning test case, so you'll be learning these things. And defect reporting, we said that yeah, there is a defect reporting in the test plan. So defect reporting, what is defect? Now you come to the definition of defect. Okay, what is a defect? Okay, so can anyone explain from your understanding what is defect?
Defect is essentially a bug, which means that the function of the task that you're trying to do is not It's not executing the outcome that it was designed to do.
Yeah, yeah. So a defect basically, sometimes we call it bug or defect, same thing. Okay, in the software, a bug or defect in the software is a functionality that is not matching according to the requirement, or if a functionality doesn't work according to the requirement, if a functionality doesn't match the requirement, then we call it as a defect. If a functionality is not working, or if a functionality is working but it is not matching with the requirement, then we call it as a defect. Does it make sense? So you, in your test plan, you mention how you are going to report defect, and we will be learning more about defect definitely another in another session. Probably by a couple of sessions we will be learning more about defect. So you will be in your test plan, issues will be reported based upon documented requirements. You mentioned what is the standard when you report defect, what is the standard. So if something is not matching with the requirement, then you report defect. Issues will be tracked by the testing, reported and entered into quality center. Quality center is a portal. Okay, is a portal, online portal where you log in and report defect. But there are so many other things like a quality center. The new name of quality center is application lifecycle management. There are, yeah, there are Bugzilla. There are so many defect reporting tool we can use. Okay, so they are saying the defect will be reported in quality center or application lifecycle management. Issues will be fixed by the development team based on the priority severity assigned by the test lead. So when you report a defect, then you mention what is the priority or severity of the defect. So defect with highest priority will be fixed first. In that way, the priority or severity, when you report a defect, you will be mentioning what is the priority or severity. And then sometimes your defect will be reported by your testing lead. He will be able to, if he thinks okay, this is probably a higher priority, he can change it. Okay, so defect which has higher priority and severity will be fixed. All critical priority one defects will be fixed before release to production. Okay, so like all highest priority defect will have to be fixed to the production. So all of the thing, right? You review this testing plan, and then what we will do is basically you will be the requirement document that I sent you. Based on the requirement document, you will be writing your own test plan. You will be creating a copy of this, and then you will be changing this document according to your own, like how you want to design this. If you have to change everything, go ahead, don't worry, just write a test plan. If you can write, let's say, a couple of pages, it's totally fine. If you want to totally create your own format, I'm fine with it. I'm trying to see what is your understanding when you write that test plan. So I have already sent you the requirements of the marketers. I have sent this test plan for your understanding. Now you create your test plan. And these are all important topics. If you get a job or you will not get a job, it depends on how you understand these topics, how much you can talk about these topics. There will be a lot of question in the interview regarding all of this stuff. So you have the test plan and you have the requirement. See, next week I'll see like how much you can talk about each of these testing type that we have discussed, how much you can write about this test plan. So that is a homework for you. Okay, guys, can we go for the database topics now? Do you have any question that you want to ask me?
I'm sorry, could you tell us the homework templates?
The homework is you, like whatever we have discussed today. I will ask you question. You will be explaining it to me, and then I have sent you the requirement document for Mercury tools, right? So you will be writing your own test plan.
Gotcha. And we're expected to use the same template.
Yeah, you can use
As
that.
well.
You can use that. You can use that template. There are a lot of template in the internet. You can you may get idea from this and you may create your own template, it doesn't matter. However, way you use your creativity to write this test plan.
Okay.
Very good.
We're good.
Okay. Any question? Any further question? No question. Okay, good. Now, let's come back to the other topics that we are discussing. Okay, before that, you want to take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So it is 11:25. We will resume at 11:30. I'm taking this 5-minute break, and you take this 5-minute break. We'll be resuming in 5 minutes. Let me, in the meantime, stop this recording. Okay, you can go ahead and take your break.